Tuesday, May 28th, 2019, regular session of the Anamosa City Council at City Hall Council Chambers. 1.0 roll call.
Rich.
Here.
Kay.
Here.
John.
Here.
Rod.
Here.
Cody.
Here.
Betty. Here.
2.0 Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Three point oh, motion to approve the minutes from the following meeting, May 13th, 2019.
So moved.
First by,
Second.
who was the second? Ron? Second by Ron. Any additions or corrections? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. 4.0 public hearings. 4.1 public hearing amending the current budget for fiscal year June 30th, 2019, and I'll open the public hearing.
Move to close.
Second.
First by Cody, second by Betty to close the public hearing. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. We don't need to do anything else for that. Okay. Alright. 5.0 presentations, none. 6.0 proclamations, none. Council action items. 7.0. 7.1 discussion and possible action on contest drawing to encourage use of online payments.
Just thought I'd get your guys' opinion on this. We have the capacity to, once we start accepting online payments, to track all of the new accounts and who makes payments, and in a way to encourage people to use that new system, we could offer, a random prize for anyone who does that within the first or second billing cycles, however we want to configure it. Just something that they brought up in our training, and that some cities have done when they started this process. We certainly don't have to, but it seemed like a good idea. I was thinking chamber bucks would be a good prize. Keep supports our local businesses. But.
What would be the advantage of doing that?
If we get people started on it early and often, it theoretically relieves some of our walk-ins and work on that end.
Is it enough to offset what the potential giveaways would be?
How would you know?
Well,
I mean,
and on top of that, what's the service charge for the process? Cause isn't there a conversion fee or?
So yeah, there is a fee for, so the credit and debit, there's a fee for the user. The e-check, there's a fee for the city.
Yeah, so it's a convenient thing for our citizens, but do we really need to do a giveaway for it then? That's just my.
Sure, yeah.
I think people are looking forward to having it.
Yeah, I don't know that we necessarily need to have a giveaway for them to use it, because it is something that they want. Once they know it's there, they're gonna utilize it.
I think the biggest thing is just informing everybody that it's
Yep.
available.
When do we think it's gonna be open again? Next week?
The credit and debit will for sure start accepting in the office, June 10th. but the online payments won't come until the website's done, which will be later this summer.
Okay.
Let's just get it done, get it moving.
So we don't need anything with that one.
Doesn't appear that way.
Alright, 7.2, discussion and possible action on replacement of computer technology for the for the police department.
So did I read right that this is everything, all the laptops in the cars, everything?
No, so the laptops in the cars are still up to date and they would stay where they're at in the cars. This is, there's currently desktops for all the officers and, so this would replace that with 3 new desktops and 6 laptops.
So each officer will have their own laptop plus laptop in car.
Right, the laptops in the cars stay in the cars, they're shared, they don't move around. But they would each have their own laptop that's in the office.
Does this include a lockable cabinet? It does not?
That,
Okay, cause we talked about that at one point in time. Are you still going to look into that?
I can, yes. This was just for the hardware itself, or the technology itself.
Okay.
So it's both these invoices in front of us?
it would be both, so I think I put the total 21,000 and change,
Yeah.
which is a lot, but kind of came as a surprise, I mean, somewhat of a surprise to both Chief White and I, being relatively new, that they weren't compatible with the Windows 10 update that'll have to be done before the end of the year,
So
end
this
of the calendar year.
will come as a budget amendment, cause we don't have this in there?
It's not in the budget, but there's enough money that we won't require an amendment to do this.
Well, and if I recall, we did budget 10,000 last year for this year's budget for
I-
it.
I think there was actually 8,000 for the server in the budget, but
Well, I was thinking we did
Yeah.
10 for computer equipment for up there, but
okay.
I would also, just to make sure, like the tower servers, that if you do get a lockable cabinet, that those could be converted into a rack mount, so that they can go into the server and fit in there sideways, if they can get a conversion kit for those.
So on the Microsoft Office 2019 Home and Business Box Pack, so we have, and I had it when I owned the coffee house and just kept it, through Microsoft Office 360, where it was like $99 a year. And each year it renewed and you kept always getting the updated ones and you can put them on 10 computers.
This isn't the
Is that
this isn't the Office package. This is
the
well-
Microsoft Office,
It's the operating system.
that is included
the
in there.
box
Uh,
pack,
I think that's
right here?
Yeah, that's gonna be your Word and Excel and so forth.
okay.
That's what I'm
I'm
saying.
sorry.
Yeah.
I thought you were. I'm sorry. I didn't understand your question.
Oh, sorry. But what
That
I'm,
could probably be looked at.
I'm saying is we still have it for $99 a year. And it goes, I think it's like 109 or something when it's said and done. But I can even put it on my Mac notebook.
We could look at going a different option for the software. I think the main focus, if I hope I'm not speaking incorrectly, would just be the hardware, the computers and stuff. If we can get that figured out tonight,
Right, and that's,
the software, we could look if there's a better option, either the 360 or the single user license, which is I think what they have there.
right, but I know it's only $265, but times 10, it adds up, times 100, it adds up.
Absolutely.
So this is just one quote on 20-some thousand dollars?
This is kind of the culmination of several revisions. Chief Hoyt worked on this pretty diligently. We had a quote from ITS, which currently serves, does the information technology services for the police department. They had provided a quote, I don't remember exactly what it came in at, but it was quite a bit more.
So since we use this contractor in the past, we just continue to use them? Or do we search out other quotes?
So I don't think we required a different quote per se, but so he took the devices that were offered and ran them past a couple different people. So one of them was the consultant the City Hall uses, Phil Staub. He did provide his own quote, but he helped revise that, and then also the IT professional for the Jones County also reviewed that and helped make sure that we were getting the best deal, so that this was revised several times. I don't think, am I incorrect, that we didn't get a separate?
That's right, that's right.
So we did get other opinions, maybe just not another quote.
And if I can, the hardware itself was quoted out by both of those, individual items, until we basically got this provider, to match or provide a very close match to that. The ongoing IT is still conducted through ITS.
And is that, you guys have a system that works with the county, right?
Yes,
And all this, like, is ITS also the one doing it for the county?
no,
Okay. But everything here will work right with that?
yes.
Obviously.
So we're okay with getting this equipment, is that under a bid threshold? What is our bid threshold? That we're required to get multiple bids?
The dollar amount off the top of my head, I'm not sure. I don't think this qualifies.
I think the bid threshold applies to vertical and horizontal infrastructure, not equipment. That's an internal policy, I think, as far as what you guys do. By the state, we're not required to get, bids on equipment, only on this type of thing, only on vertical and horizontal infrastructure.
So since this is replacing the equipment we already have, we don't have to have bids? Is that
Not,
what you're
not
telling me?
required by the state, what the council chooses to do.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, that's fine, I just,
Yep.
so everybody's clear on why we only have one price when we're buying something.
And that's provided that these prices are still good, cause I see that this expired yesterday.
Chief, is this software compatible across all platforms, linking back to the patrol laptops? There's nothing special embedded within anything?
No, they service, our Panasonic Toughbooks, which we run in the car, are actually, they were installed by Caltech, but ITS still provides our ongoing maintenance for those. So they have a hand in both, and they're aware of that, so they're, I guess I don't see how it would be to their advantage to not be able to do
Okay.
that otherwise.
Well, I guess then it comes down to if, as a council, we're comfortable with just a single bid. I understand it had multiple eyes on it. It sounds like it was dissected and reviewed in detail.
Yeah, if Jeremiah's comfortable with it, this is equipment he wants to use in his department.
I just wanna ask Chief, this is a matter of need and not want.
Yeah, unfortunately, the biggest thing that we're encountering now is making sure in the future this doesn't happen in this manner again, that we get on some sort of a timeline or replacement plan.
Sure.
So we're not counting this in 5 years from now.
And that was done with the ones in the car, right? Aren't we on a rotation of every 3 years, a couple of them get replaced or something?
No, they are not on one either, but because of this, this has spurred me to contact Keltec and make sure that we look at that for the future with that.
I thought we
I
were
did too. I thought
on a
that
ro-
was,
not on a rotational, but after so many years, we would have replaced all of those patrol laptops. Maybe the ball got dropped on our end, but that was my understanding, that's what we were going to be doing.
I think what it was we were set aside and bought like 3 one year and 3 another to get, so that they got the tough books, so
Sure.
that they would all be the same. I think that's what we did one.
It sounds that hasn't happened.
Yeah, and I apologize, this predates me, so I'm only vaguely familiar with it, but the current laptops that we're trying to replace in the police department, the physical structure of the police department, those were formerly in the patrol vehicles, definitely not equipped for that kind of work. Those were bought out, and with that purchase, the Panasonics were replaced at I'm not sure what the increment was, but at a certain increment, to get those 4 Panasonic Toughbooks in our vehicles.
We have acquired those 4, or we have not?
Yes, we have
Okay.
acquired those 4.
That's what I was referring to, maybe I
Yeah.
wasn't clear.
Yeah.
well, if we need them, we need them. I make a motion to approve the police department getting the computer technology and what they need.
First by Betty,
With,
I'll
Second.
second.
with the exception of checking into that Microsoft Office.
Well, and the date. Make sure that they're still,
Still good?
the bids are still,
I
Yeah,
got
I
They
mean,
still honor
if
it.
the price is
I got it.
higher, then we'll,
so give it to Kay.
Give it to Kay.
All right,
Give it to Ken.
yeah. Shoot, never mind.
all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. 7.3, discussion and possible action on selection of architect for downtown revitalization project.
I don't know if you guys have had the chance to review those proposals, after my review, and, Derek Lumsden, Jones County Economic Development Director, also reviewed those, and we both kinda came to the same conclusion separately, but, we felt that Martin Gardner had the best experience, in this area. I did call a few of the references, and those that I was able to get a hold of spoke positively.
So we have secured this grant?
No,
We have not.
this is part of the application process that we have to contract with the architect at, prior to being awarded the grant. And we'll have to engage in their services to do some of the application work. They will have to provide us with, some, renderings of the buildings and cost estimates for the project to be used in the grant application.
So if the grant is not accepted, we're going to have some expenditures no matter what.
Yeah, if we're not awarded the grant, we'll kind of lose out on that cost. I mean, we can still potentially use that information in a future grant application as long as eventually it'll kind of need updated, obviously, but
So do you know approximately how much that cost would be?
I guess I'm thinking in the $10,000 to $20,000 range, for the architectural fees. Again, this is part of the, downtown revitalization grant, that has the potential to bring in, 500,000 in grant money plus 250,000 private match. So it is a large sum, but has the potential to be very worth it.
And this would be part of our 250?
It can be, yes.
So it'll be our 250,
So yeah, it can be part of our.
subtract what we spend on this.
It
not
can
in
be part of our
addition.
match, yes. And to be clear, I guess selecting this tonight wouldn't necessarily bind us to any dollar amount, because I would still have to come back with a contract specifying that dollar amount. What I'm looking for is your support in that firm, and then we will start getting that pricing, that professional services agreement put together and bring that back to your attention, but,
And do I understand he has done this before, this company has done?
Martin Gardner,
Yeah,
I don't know if it was the exact same program, it might have been. I know they did a downtown facade, program in Elkader recently.
that's what I understood, is they've
It
done
might have been
this.
the exact same program.
Can you divulge some of the references?
There was two cities that I talked to, they're in the packet, Elkader and, just a second.
Do you want one of these, Jacob?
No, sure.
Locator, West Union, Report City.
LaPorte City, I think, was the other one. There's three other references in there, but I didn't make contact with them.
And they were more than pleased with the work this architecture firm has done for them.
Yes.
Does the firm look at the overall structure of the building as well as the facade? Or is that a different responsibility?
We will have them look at the structure, and I don't know the details of how it gets played out, but we have to assure to the state that, I mean, the city doesn't want to, the state doesn't want to put money into a building that's, potentially going to collapse or, not be worth the investment, but,
It's to my understanding, if the buildings are not structurally sound, they don't qualify for the grant.
so they, I guess I can't describe the exact, methodology or intricacy that they'll go through to inspect these buildings. But they will evaluate the whole structure, not just the front, the facade.
These were what, 3 out of 15? Is that right? These were the only 3 that gave
It was
proposals
3 out of
back?
quite a few, it might have been 13, 15, something like that.
And I know we talked about contacting some of those other firms, and I know in your update, you said that Derek said one of them was just, they just had enough business, they
We had
didn't
heard
need.
from a couple that it was business load, but I apologize, I have not found the time to call, any others than those two.
Well, it seems to me the ones that have contacted us came with not only references, but the work they've done.
Well, this, our final decision would be contingent on, amount of fee or cost that's gonna be applied. So if we do anything tonight, it would be just that we support it to this point moving forward.
Correct.
That we would,
And
in a sense, solicit this
hopefully we
architecture
would get
firm.
the grant.
Well, this is just, in nothing else, saying, go ahead, negotiate a deal, bring the deal back, and then if their fees are gonna be too high, we can always kill it at that
That's-
point in time.
That's the way I understand it,
Yes.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I agree.
I do
I
too.
agree.
Tom Durgan, building owner downtown. Obviously, everybody knows how I stand on this issue. I'm completely against it. Kay just kinda hit on something I've asked several times about the structural engineer, and I'm still totally lost on why anybody other than the building owner should have a complete exam of the building, if that's what you wanna call it, and the city and the taxpayers pay for it. I'm completely lost on why anybody should pay for that other than the building owner. It's my understanding that the city missed the deadline for the grant program, is that correct?
I mean, we're not applying this year, we're applying next spring, so
When was the deadline?
for this year,
Yeah.
I don't know the exact deadline, but since
Anybody-
January, we haven't been aiming for this spring, we've been aiming for next spring.
So all of this hubbub and all this, how much money's invested in this already, and then we didn't even apply for the grant? 'Cause
We
I've had a lot of people say, you know, it's hearsay, but a lot of people said that you guys just flat missed the deadline, so I'm kinda just, and here again with the architect, it's like, why are we even getting an architect at this point if you're not even, I don't know how all this works, so you'll have to excuse me, I gotta feel a little ignorance on this.
We can't submit an application without this work, that's
Okay.
why, I mean,
So the architect is gonna hire a structural engineer then, I'm assuming, to
no,
look at the building, or the architect is gonna look at the building?
the architect will look at the building.
Are you still gonna have the building owners at their expense have a structural engineer look at it, the rest of the building? I understand that if it's not structural, that you can say no, but why should you invest a bunch of money in it, my feelings, if the building is, cause, I mean, come on, we know there's a lot of buildings downtown that need a whole lot of work before the facade ever gets done. A lot of buildings need a lot more work. I still have a huge issue with sticking any money in the front of someone's building, and I still say giving them money, you can call it what you want, but I'm saying giving them money to take care of their property, and the taxpayers are paying for it. At a minimum, these people should have their own structural engineer come in here at their expense and look at these buildings. At an absolute minimum, because you guys spend all this money, the taxpayers' money, and then it comes in, it's like, well, my building's too bad, forget it. And how much money are you gonna spend on each building? And they walk away. So are you gonna do the, sign up for the program before next deadline, or are we out a couple of years like I heard, or what's, what? I know you wanna try to get the architect in here pretty fast, I understand that if you have to have that done before.
The application deadline is next spring, that is our target to apply next spring.
But you didn't miss it this year, huh?
Which
I'm gonna,
has always been our target, so
well,
I
and
don't know how much clearer Jacob can be, is we did not
I've
miss the target date.
I have never heard a target date ever, but okay.
Well, that's because we hadn't set a target date.
Well, and I'm just gonna, because I've been kind of, and I am in support of this. And I'm gonna say that I am glad Jacob and Derek are walking and not running. I am glad they're looking at every different avenue. I'm glad they're contacting other cities and how'd it work for them. The idea that it did come up early in the spring, February, I think maybe was the first time we talked about it. I am glad we didn't throw something together for April and always said, we have a year to get our ducks in a row. Kudos to the people walking, not running.
Isn't,
So I'm good with it being next spring.
it's my understanding, that is Derek's, that's his thing, that's what I understand, is he's went into these towns and he's done all this, so I guess I'm here again, I'm a little confused on if it's really orderly, if that's where you wanna put it, or really put together,
That he didn't throw it together in a couple of months for the application.
how long's he been here, and how long's the program been? Cause I've been in here, obviously, some people have done some studying and learning, because I've been in here and asked several questions and gotten nothing, quiet, silence, other than, go talk to Derek, go talk to Derek. I can tell just by sitting here listening tonight that people have talked about this and are learning a little bit more about what the city's doing. Because before, I don't think anybody in here knew what was going on. So now, at least you're hopefully talking about it, but I still think that you guys need to have, the city and the taxpayers should not pay for that kind of stuff on someone's building. I completely disagree.
Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
I make a motion, we move forward on the selection of the architect for the downtown program.
First by Betty.
With no obligation.
Right. So
Second.
Second by Rod. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
7 point, okay, so, did that pass?
Yeah, it was Rod and Rich, or not Rod, Cody and
Cody,
Rich.
yeah.
Cody and Rich. 7.4, discussion and possible action on fire station expansion project.
I tried to set up a meeting with Chief Shada and the engineer. Did not work out timing wise. I went ahead and had that phone call with them. Tried to update Chief Shada today, and again, just didn't connect. But to answer the question from our prior meeting, yes, you could use essentially the exterior building wall as the retention wall, but it would be a much more expensive option because the building, where the new building would go, sits 11 feet above the existing grade. To make that work, the wall would have to be about 15 feet tall, which is twice as tall as the proposed retaining wall. So anyway, they were estimating if we changed things and went the direction of using that exterior wall as the retaining wall, it'd be about $100,000 more, close to right over $700,000 total project cost, or
I'm gonna say that things aren't lining up yet, and the people you're talking to don't understand what's going on, because I really fail to see that being that way. With that
So-
wall being the way it is. I have no idea where you put a 15-foot tall wall anywhere on that property to hold a building up, so, it is what it is at this point, but,
Well, I guess I would go back to, I think Mike's comment about it's, what, bedrock there?
Yeah.
So do they really know what that surface is that they're dealing with in making that comment?
I don't know, if they're aware of that. I guess I didn't bring that specific comment to their attention. I guess my question, trying to move things forward, I guess I don't understand necessarily the concern with the retaining wall itself. I mean, I'm trying to build the project in the cheapest, most, not cost-effective manner. And I guess I don't understand why that's a negative. And if I could understand it, I can maybe help keep things moving forward.
Well, the way I'm looking at it is, it's potential that if it's on bedrock, the retaining wall may not be necessary and the 15-foot wall may not be necessary. It may be one of these things that once we get into it, we may find that there's some things to our advantage that may help reduce the cost.
But would we be getting into it on a guess? Or do we need to bring them out here for a site
I
inspection?
think they need to come out, they're just
To do
Yeah.
a site
looking at a
inspection?
topographical map and they have no idea what they're looking at other than Google Earth.
I mean,
Exactly.
they have been on site. I mean, obviously have not done any, soil sampling but they have been on site. They know what they're working with.
So do we need a second opinion? Whoever you called out, get someone else to come out?
Or a core sample.
We just may need to do some core samples
Yeah,
first.
core
And
sample.
we have a couple contractors in the area that have already looked at it that said this is a viable option.
I mean,
Sure like to keep $100,000 in my pocket.
right, I would like to have it built the way they want it, so it's safe and secure, but I sure don't wanna overspend on it either. So if we can get by with the bedrock regular wall and without a retaining wall, and there was something too about if we don't do a retaining wall, we can have a different grade.
It can be done with just grading, but the issue there is to have the required grade, it requires, work. That grade has to be carried over to the south,
Right.
the next property south, which is owned by Schaefer's.
Right, and
So,
they could always give a permanent easement for however many feet it would carry over. I don't know how many feet it would carry over.
and that's an option.
I mean, if it's still gonna be in their setback area, permanent easement's not gonna hurt them in any form. So, it could be done that way too.
I think we need more information.
I guess I just need to know what direction to proceed, what information to gather, because I can tell you this, I can sense that there's some frustration maybe. We've gotten quite a bit of information from these engineers with no payment. They're not gonna keep putting different ideas together and
Oh,
doing
sure.
work without billing the city, so I wanna make sure we're asking specific questions, and going down kind of a specified direction, not
Well, can you,
just answering.
Well, for me, it would be a core sample, because
and can you
that's
just
my
ask,
experience.
can you just say, this has been brought to our attention that because of the foundation there being so hard and bedrock-like, would that change
Okay,
using
I
the
will bring
wall
that
as
up.
the foundation? I mean, can you ask if that would change at all? And
First of all, I apologize for Chief Shader not being here, his mother's in the hospital, so that's where he's at. He asked me to be here, I've been with him since the start of this project. I agree with Kay and Rich, I don't know where the rock ends because of the bedrock. I don't know how far, in which direction, and how far down it goes. So probably yes, core samples would be a good idea, and there's several around the area that can do that. And then that may give you your answer as which way to proceed.
Well, and regardless, if we have to pay for it, we're gonna need it. Probably, you know what I mean?
It would seem.
Yes.
Yep.
And Tim did say he was trying to get with Jacob, the concrete man, and some other people to have a face-to-face meeting. And that, according to Jacob, hasn't, just haven't got the right days yet.
Yeah.
So we'll table it till next month? Or not next month, but 2 weeks?
It will be next month.
Next month? You
But
know, that
maybe-
day when it stops raining? We'll table it till it stops raining?
No, no, they can do core samples in the rain. That's,
So we'll get some core samples.
I'll at least
I
look
would-
into them.
I would
Yeah.
like to at least have the engineers answer some of the questions
Mhm.
themselves here. I'm not saying we need to go as far as core samples yet, but, I'm,
Well, they might not have the answers without the core samples either, Cody.
I think.
Depending how thick it is or what, how far the rock does go down.
And like Mike said, I didn't even think of the fact, where does it end?
Yeah,
Nobody knows.
no.
And until then, it's a guess, so.
Ultrasound machine or something,
Yeah.
but I think that would give you an idea of what,
What to go with.
Yep.
better
What we're
idea.
building on.
Yeah,
Yep.
get it right.
So we'll table this till,
The city has a rather lengthy past history with Snyder, who is the engineer that's, you've been working with, Jacob. I don't see any reason why they can't be present to answer some of these questions, and try to prevent or eliminate from you being the middleman with the back and forth game.
Okay, I'll see if they're willing and show up.
so that one will come back to us
Mm-hmm.
in 2
We'll do
weeks.
that later.
Just a minute.
Building on it. Here again, you guys know I'm passionate about this one, because I've brought it up many times. Now, this building is grant worthy. Are there any grants for this? For fire departments through a federal agency or anything? Because this building is worth it.
Are you
Or is it-
asking
or
me
is it gonna be-
specifically?
Excuse me?
Are you asking me or?
Anybody? You know, I, over my head, I have a clue. I'm wondering, because here again, you guys know I've been passionate about that fire department and some other buildings that need work. So I would think there'd be some kind of grants, or is the city gonna try to fund this all on their own? And if there is grants, who would be doing that? Would that be Derek?
No, if there was a grant, that would be under my responsibility. I'm not aware of any, that will fund a,
Building expansion.
yeah, if there are any. And you know, I haven't spent a ton of time searching this one issue, but I mean, I pay pretty close attention to the different programs that come up. If I miss something, if somebody's aware of one, I'd be more than happy to look into it. Right now, the plan is to fund it with, regular tax dollars.
Okay. Yeah, I just didn't know if there'd be grants or not. It'd be nice if there was, cause
Yeah.
this building needs to be done. So,
Yeah.
thank you.
Mike, do you guys get stuff in your solicitation mail about funding and grants and stuff for fire departments?
there are probably some available, I couldn't tell you at this time.
Mm-hmm.
We're more interested in equipment,
Mm-hmm. That's a lot of grants for that.
because this is a city building, that would be the city's function.
So you're saying if there were grants available, you would sooner utilize those for the equipment and not the building, is that what I just heard?
No, there are different types of
Okay.
grants. We only look at the ones for equipment and
Okay.
stuff as that way.
But it would have, you would have noticed if you'd gotten information if there was one for the building. Said
You have to find it, they don't send it to you.
Okay, so we're tabling that one?
Yep. 7.5, discussion and possible action on 2080 agreement with Jones County for collection of parking tickets.
This is really just for your attention. We don't need to take action on it tonight. There's still some questions to be answered, in discussions with the county, primarily what their fee would be to do this, but, I think it would offer us a good option to an issue that we're running into where, people simply aren't paying their parking tickets.
How much do we have outstanding?
The exact dollar amount is unknown. It was just over $3,000 for a period of time from, a month ago or so till this time last year. One of the problems that we're running into is statute of limitations, so anything that's over a year, because ultimately a parking citation will become a simple misdemeanor. Basically those we have to write off because we can't pursue those.
So this would mean like you couldn't renew your license or get registration for your vehicle.
Correct.
I love this. Let's go. Let's do it.
What,
So you need to get more information on
yeah, what
this?
Yeah.
fees
Yeah.
would be applied?
We don't know yet. This would be the first time that Jones County has engaged in this sort of agreement. So, to my knowledge anyway, so I don't think they have all the details worked out on their end yet. But wanted to bring it to your attention to kind of get any concerns brought up now rather than later.
So do you need a motion to proceed with it?
It wouldn't hurt, but I don't know if it's necessary.
Well, I mean, it's on the agenda. Let's keep things moving here if we need to.
Yeah.
I'll make the motion to proceed with it.
I'll second.
Waste of ink if we're not doing anything with it.
Who was the second on that?
Okay,
Sound like half
Give
the
it to
council.
Rick.
Give it to Kay.
Okay.
She's giving herself one, jeez. She's just,
Okay. We can all go
Collecting
home.
fruit from
Kay's
the
got
bottom.
this.
First by Cody, second by Rich. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. 8.0, public safety. 8.1, motion to approve the renewal of beer and liquor license, renewal of Class E liquor license, Class B beer permit, Class B native wine permit with Sunday sale privileges for Casey's store number 2690 and 2908.
move to
So moved.
approve.
Second.
First by Rich, second by Kay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. 9.0, Public Works. 9.1, discussion and possible action on the record of a verbal warning for wastewater superintendent Dan Smith.
I guess I'm surprised that we're dealing with this again.
It,
It's a verbal warning.
I'd like to table this for 2 meetings.
Second.
first by Rich, second by Cody to
Can I ask
table.
a question about that first?
No,
I don't think you can because it's.
it's a personnel matter. Sorry.
Put his name in the public?
He put it.
Alright, so that'll be, come back in
2 meetings, not
2 meetings.
not 2
Yeah,
weeks.
2
Right.
meetings.
Alright, moving on.
Mm-hmm.
10.0 Finance, 10.1 Discussion possible action on request by Kevin and Kenya Thailand to purchase section of alley adjacent to 105 East First Street.
Make the motion, we have to set a public hearing first? Is that what we're doing? Or to sell it?
Well,
I guess I would,
Well- Go ahead, because I've got some questions.
sure, I would let them go ahead and speak if they're wanting to.
Okay.
Yeah, we're interested in purchasing the alley between us and Dallas Postion. Basically, it's pretty much, we've been the only ones to use it since we moved in since in '04. It hasn't really been serviced, plowed or anything like that. When we put our house up for sale 6 months ago or so, a lot of the worries were that without that alley being owned by me, getting to our driveway, getting to our garage, the people were nervous about buying. And then the next thing is we wanted to build a deck on the side of our house, and we couldn't even get 12 feet because we have to be 15 feet away from the alley, so we couldn't even get anywhere close to putting a deck on. I talked to Dallas Poston, and he's fine with it as long as we were to give him an easement so that he could get to his backyard, which we would set up.
And we've submitted papers,
Yeah, and he's,
signatures from them.
we got a paper from him that we wrote up, he signed it, he's got a copy and everything. And I know Jacob said that when I talked to him on the phone, that he likes to be able to tie up the whole alley and get everybody to, that lives on part sides of it to purchase the whole thing to get it all the alley off the books. To my understanding, Alice Grassfield, they bought that property in the other part of the alley back in the '60s. I don't think it's registered at the courthouse that way, and I don't wanna start a land feud between the people that live on that side. I just wanna buy my section.
Because that part's all grass, right?
Yeah, that part on the other side behind her old house and Kettleson's is all grass out that way.
When you say the other side, do you mean straight south on the alley from
Yes.
Yes.
the portion that you're looking to
Yeah, my
attain?
side's on the north side.
And Dallas is east of
Dallas
the
is
alley?
east of me, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And ours is the only section that's paved,
Yeah.
and the city has never been there in the 14,
Well,
15 years.
Once or
Maybe
twice, I
once
think,
plowed it.
they came by when I was outside and they said, doesn't the city own? And I said, yeah, and he said, well, let me get that. And I'm okay, thanks, but, and it's not that big a deal. I'm just saying that I would like to get it so that, it's done, and while Dallas is in good health, everything is, he doesn't have any complaints right now. It'd be a good time to get this settled so that I don't have to fight this out sometime in the future when we get, yeah, and we would put, like I said, I would put up, I don't know how to say it, extending easement so that even their next owners or our next owners, either way, would have to agree to that, so that it would be a continuous shared driveway, basically, but he wasn't any interested in actually purchasing it, so.
So you would be purchasing all of it?
I believe it's, what was it, 24 feet by 1,000?
You just want up to your,
Yeah.
Property
your
line.
your back end of
Right.
your property line. You don't wanna extend all the way up
No.
to Second Street.
No,
So
I
did-
absolutely do not wanna try to get into that. Open up that can of worms. I just wanna be able to access the garage, and in 5-10 years, if we decide to sell, that we have that ability to say, yep, this is our alley and you can access your garage from
And do
there.
improvements.
Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
like I said, build a deck and do some other things that, and it's probably time to start putting some concrete in there or something, because it's got some
Yeah,
hills and stuff, so. But yeah, that's my thoughts anyway.
okay.
Thanks.
Thanks, Diana.
Thank you.
So did I read that there was a piece of unknown on this? Or is that
I don't
something
think
else?
so.
Well, in your memo, you do have, furthermore, there is a triangle section at which, after looking at it on Beacon, I'm assuming this is still referring back to the Dean Woods.
Yeah, that must have been. a
Because you
mistake.
also state in here, something about not being able to sell the property at the April 22nd meeting.
Okay, I question,
apologize.
thank you. Alright, cause I went and looked and I thought, I'm not seeing a triangle piece, but perfect.
And I would then say, since their neighbor doesn't wanna buy that half, but we need to offer the halves to everybody else down that alley, so they all have a chance.
How will we find out if, in the 1960s, somebody did buy it and it wasn't recorded? I mean, that's near impossible to prove that.
I don't think you can do it, because I know my dad had that same arrangement, and when they came down 15 years ago, or whatever it was, it wasn't recorded, so therefore it didn't happen. So there's no way to do it.
The only way you could do it would
Unless
be to
Alice
look at-
has receipt of,
You could look at the ordinance books, the old ordinance books, that it would be vacated and conveyed
Well,
by ordinance.
at the time that he came down, because it was supposed to have been done back in the late sixties, they couldn't find anything.
But if it was done here but not recorded, it could still be
Well,
recorded. Yeah.
I think they came here too.
Oh,
and
they
talk-
looked here
yeah.
too? Oh, I didn't know that.
And I'm not so sure that they didn't even go back to council minutes,
Oh.
and it wasn't
Oh,
even
was
recorded
that
in,
recently?
well, it would have been back in 1968, 67 that this happened, so who
Oh, I
knows
just
what.
didn't know if they were here recently.
No,
looking at
this
the
was-
records.
And I just wanted to say that, the person that owns that property on that, what is it, southeast corner now that Alice lived in before, that supposedly owns that alley, is being sold again in the process right now. There's a sign up front that's marked sold. So, and I think when they bought it, it was on their deed, abstract, whatever you wanna call it, that they owned it. But like I said, when they went to the courthouse to check on
Oh.
it, it wasn't recorded, so that's why it's on there supposedly. It says it on their paperwork, but it doesn't say it at the court.
Well,
Well,
that-
that's odd
because
because
that's where they got the information
Yeah,
for
your
the
abstract
abstract.
information comes from the
Well,
courthouse.
Yeah.
I don't know, that's just.
No, that's odd,
Yeah,
but,
that's,
okay,
I just didn't wanna
Just
start more.
No.
throw another curveball out there.
So do we need to set a hearing to sell this?
First thing you'd wanna do is contact the property, if you're talking the whole alley, Rich.
Well, I'm gonna assume we're gonna vacate the alley.
I mean, it's not even a through alley right now,
No.
and we don't maintain
There's
our part
structure,
of it.
there's structure on the alley south of them.
Right, I mean, it's not a through alley, but it is platted as an alley.
Right.
yeah.
So, because of that, the worst thing we could have happen is we do the north end and the south end, and then the middle is sitting there as an island. So if we're gonna do it, we need to do the whole thing.
Well,
That's my thought.
that's just it,
Yeah.
Rich. I don't,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be in favor of landlocking somebody in the middle, so neither it's
Well, we've got, I know there's,
pursue, or selling off, unless it can be proven otherwise, the entire alley.
well, I would be okay just doing the north side, but I wouldn't be okay doing the south side and not selling off the middle, cause we've got, I think in town, there's a couple places where there's a square in the middle of a block, because the south and north got sold off and the middle is just sitting there.
Yeah.
Which,
it needs to be all or none.
yeah,
Yeah,
so, well, I'm okay doing the north, so they have their portion done, but the south side of that, then, everybody else has to follow, or nobody follows.
We don't want a piece left out in the middle.
Right.
yeah,
I'm okay with that.
yeah.
Is this something you're looking for to move rather quickly, or?
Sooner the
Can-
better, yeah. All the
I-
time,
When-
but, well, the other owners were in good health and not have to deal with,
Sure.
An
already
estate
have
or-
this agreement kinda set in place.
I think the city's got some stuff that needs to work out. What's been sold, what hasn't been sold. Again, there's structure sitting on city's property if it hasn't been sold.
Right.
So I would like to move expeditiously for you. But this is one of those, lot of variables here that I think we need to take some time and work through this.
And even just surveying an abstract one can take 60 days. But I think we should move forward on it.
I don't hear the council has heartburn to sell it to you. We just wanna make sure that we're doing right.
Well, I would like, in the next 2 weeks, to contact all the neighbors then, and let them know that there's a potential here, and see what kind of feedback we get from them also. So if we can, we can do it all at one time, instead of piecemealing it.
Yes, I
When
agree,
this
Rich.
happened up here on Main Street with Ryan and Katie Hall, did they end up buying the whole alley to make that work for them?
Yes, they did.
They did.
And they
Like
gave
they-
everybody easements.
So they bought the entire alley and everybody has easements. That's, I was thinking something like that happened there. Okay, thank you.
So we'll have Jacob work on that and get it.
Mhm.
Alright.
And have, put it on the agenda for 2 weeks.
Alright.
And I'll help with whatever.
Yeah, let us know what.
I mean, I mean, I can go talk to the neighbors too and let them know what's going on.
Strong arm 'em, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever, we're good.
Alright, so we won't do anything with that. 10.2, discussion and possible action on resolution amending the current budget for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
First by Rich, second by Betty. And it's a roll vote.
Kay,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Rod,
Yes.
Cody,
Yes.
Betty,
Yes.
Rich.
Yes.
10.3, discussion and possible action on approving professional services agreement amendment number 5 with HR Green Company for annual GIS services.
So, when was this contract up?
I think technically it's actually expired, if I'm correct.
Do they send us notice when it's going to expire, or is that something we're just supposed to know, or?
We were contacted, I can't remember when, I think there was an issue. I think the specific person that we work with at HR Green, for whatever reason, may still be using my old email address. That may be the issue. I don't have access to that account anymore.
Okay.
But somewhere there was a miscommunication and this didn't get brought up till now. We haven't lost access to any
Did we-
services.
You can still access GIS, you have been lately, Robert?
I haven't used it yet since it expired.
Okay.
As of Thursday, I was able to use it.
Okay.
Cause I was off that day, so.
This is not to use the GIS system though.
Yeah, this isn't using the GIS. This is just the updates.
So we still
and-
keep access to it.
We pay for
Yeah.
that separately. We used
Yeah,
to
we-
get it,
Okay, so it's not all the same then.
Yeah, we have an agreement with S3, which actually hosts the information. HR Green is really like IT consultants that help us use that software.
and update it,
Yeah,
do our
updating
updates
it.
and such.
And we just renewed the S3, so
Yeah,
that's fine. We're not gonna lose access. It's just
I just don't want,
Well-
there's a lot of information on there that I don't
No.
wanna
Yeah.
lose.
If it's
Agreed.
something we need, I move to approve.
First by Betty.
Second.
Second by Rod. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. 10.4, discussion and possible action on resolution approving the hiring and setting salary of seasonal part-time employees for the Anamosa Aquaport for the upcoming season.
So moved.
Second.
First by Rod, second by Rich.
I have a question. Did you forget Milton Moctezuma on your list of employees?
So we had a first roll, and then we had some that signed up later, that came back, through years. And we got through a lot of guards, we had a lot of turnover, and kids don't wanna work a lot of hours, they work several jobs, so. You should have been on that first.
Okay.
And this is a roll vote.
Who said that?
John,
Yes.
Rod,
Yes.
Cody,
Yes.
Betty,
Yes.
Rich,
Yes.
Kay,
Yes.
10.5, discussion and possible action on resolution approving the hiring with part-time employees and setting salaries for the Lawrence Community Center.
So moved.
Second.
First by Kay, second by Rich. And then 2 is a roll vote.
Rod,
Yes.
Cody,
Yes.
Betty,
Yes.
Rich,
Yes.
Kay,
Yes.
John.
Yes.
10.6, discussion and possible action on the payment of bills for the month of May 2019.
Move to approve.
First by Betty,
Second.
second by Rich. Questions?
Amazon, do we have an account then that is just under your control? Or are we handling Amazon just so things aren't just ordered by, you know, everybody so easily?
Yeah,
Even though Amazon's very easy to use, I just don't want everybody a hold of a Prime account.
we do have access, we do have an official city account, that provides us, business pricing and whatnot. Right now, there's only 2 people with access to that. I can give as many access. The way it's set up though, is they have to have their own payment, so it's not like an invoice-based system. They have to have a credit card, which only so many employees have access to a credit card. We could set it up so that things are invoiced, but that's not where I feel comfortable right now,
Okay,
so,
well, that's fine.
You said you didn't see an Amazon on here,
Well,
did you?
it says under, well, library and utility bills, Amazon.
that would be a separate account.
Oh, that's,
The
that's,
library-
that's the bills for the whole month, sorry, we're looking on the payment of the bills, just the council voucher bills. These are all the payments for April that you're looking at.
I'm looking at that, but I'm looking the next page down. It just
Okay.
was my next question. About.
Yeah, the library must be, just for clarification though, the library must have their own account. They don't,
Okay.
they're not using the one, and I can't speak to how that's set up.
The 2 payments to Boomerang, water main break on Rosemary and water main break on Hamilton, I'm assuming neither one of those are the recent dig on 3rd Street?
No.
That's separate? Okay.
We have a first and a second on that.
Oh, you're done discussing it? Am I ignoring you?
Not for long,
That's why you spoke up. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 11.0, City Administrators Report.
Trying to think. We still, Jim can probably fill us in better, but we still suspect there was a water main break on 3rd Street. We don't really know where we're at. We had a leak locator from Cedar Rapids here today, and they could not find where the leak was, but I drove down 3rd Street several times this weekend, and there's water coming up at that area. I don't know when they last tested it, but when they originally tested it, it did show positive for chlorine residual. So that would say it's not groundwater most likely, unless it was really high natural content. I don't know, we're kind of baffled, we're still trying to figure
Never
it
had
out.
one happen like that where the water was bubbling up in 3 spots and all of a sudden I stood there and watched it, it just disappeared. So there's a lot of avenues underneath 3rd Street that it could be taking, and it could be groundwater, it could be saturation. I talked to Cody, Jacob, stumper, it could be, we could have a plug up in storm sewer too, somewhere. I know one catch basin that Robert and I did check out real well. One side's getting water, the other side isn't. So, and also, what was that, manhole that we were in that was full? That was a telephone communication.
Jim, come up here so we can all hear you.
Well, so the microphone, so
Yeah,
people who watch
so
the
people
video.
on TV can,
Oh, I could be a movie star.
Well, and so when the public wants to know, they'll be able to hear you, so if you don't mind repeating what you
Yeah.
said.
that way they can hear you and you're not just a
The day that
mumble.
we had that happen, I was called out and Robert had, let me know there was a water main break. Went out there, did our chlorine check, went through probably 5-6 hours before we could get everything set up to have Boomerang come out and then get the, cones to be out on the street for diversion of the cars. At the time I was doing a metal detection on the side of, 1108. All of a sudden, the water just decided to go somewhere else. It started drying up, and at that point, I didn't wanna take the chance of saying, okay, we're undermining under the road. Let's find out if we could dig, go underneath, and at least get a test put. Went down and it was drying. So we went from that point to a total stump and went, okay, well, let's get this packed up. I cannot dig any further to the expense of the city because of all that concrete, all that asphalt, how far it would go and then wind up with nothing, unless I have some proof that I could go further. So then we thought, let's see what it does, and next step would be to locate, leak locate. So I called up a gentleman this morning, in fact, he's not from, I called Bill Miller from Cedar Rapids. He got a hold, or he gave me information to a guy by the name of Noel Westrom, and he's out by the Des Moines area. Well, it was better that way because Cedar Rapids was gonna charge $200 an hour versus Noel doing $85 an hour. So he came all the way out, checked it, found nothing, plus the curb stops that were in the general area, they were both checked to see if they could have been the service lines that were over there. We located those, found them, also found nothing. But we still have water coming up out of that spot. Chlorine testing was done, everything that we could possibly do was done at that point. And I'm hoping that we're not getting a big saturation of water underneath the road where it will undermine and create any more damage, but I don't know which direction I wanna go next.
Especially if you dug and it was dry.
Yeah, and it was, when we dug, I could say it was no more than 2 feet? Well, we went through the 3 feet, but after the water disappeared, it was probably an hour and a half later, 2 hours later, after it was completely gone. So I think there's a lot of sand, a lot of rock, a lot of places where water could go, but it also doesn't mean that it discludes the sewer side. The sewer side, force main over there, doesn't mean that sewer coming through, but we're getting water from somewhere, and it's periodic water too, so it's coming up, kinda drying out, coming up, and that's kinda indicative to what the pumps do. Now, we don't see it being sewer water, but it could be filtering through sand and coming up that way too, and making it look like it's just general water. But now at this point, we're not getting any chlorine residuals. So, it's a stuff.
And you're not missing any from the system.
I can't tell that because lately, Tyler has been filling up the pool. And at the same time, Dan is also, I believe Dan has been using a little bit at the wastewater plant. We're trying to get a week together. Today, through the weekend, we had 2 388s. We're average about 360. We had a couple of 4s in there and a couple of 5s, but that's in general, that's indicative to phone pool and Dan down there too. Now, Dan's been keeping in contact with me to make sure we know he's using the water. So we've been hoping that we can have a good week to see where we average.
See ya, yeah,
But
make sure.
today would have told the whole story, but the gentleman that came, Noel Westrom, correlator that he has used would have spiked on there to show. It was on a straight, ductile iron line, 4 inch, it would have been easy to see. And this gentleman has been around the block and he knows what he's doing, and he said nothing. Any questions?
No, thank you.
Thanks, Jim. I think the only other thing I was gonna say is, we are looking for a seasonal, position for cemetery work, so that should be posted this week, published this week, so if, just putting it out there. That's all I can think of at this time.
So, last minute I asked you about 310 West Main and the abatement there. Do you have anything to update on that, or do you know any more about it?
Can you jog my memory? I'm sorry.
It's the Merritt property.
I don't really have an update, other than, I know, again, it's been ruled at the court level. I apologize, I don't have an update on what.
Did he appeal it or something?
He did. So at district court, then he was given 30 days to abate, which was in April, somewhere around the 24th or 26th. So at that point, we needed a plan in place to abate it ourselves, or he's in contempt of court, or
But my
what our
question
action
is,
is.
since that ruling, has he appealed it?
That was his appeal.
Oh, that was his appeal. Okay, that was my
Yeah,
question.
sorry.
Let me
Maybe
follow up
smart
on this,
ass.
and I'll get back in touch with you before our next meeting.
Because we've got another 30 days on what the court gave him.
He also has a loose dog. Just saying.
Get at that, Kay.
I don't want to put things through the court system if we're not going to follow through with it. No sense in us tying up judge's time.
All right. 12.0 mayor and council.
Plus, they don't take us serious.
Right.
Council reports on business and boards and commissions.
The library board met and talked about registration for summer reading programs for kids, teens, and adults. The registration started today. And I found out that if you're going on vacation and ask them, they'll check a book out for you for a long period of time. I was thrilled to death.
Did you get to take books on vacation, Kate?
Well, no, but I wanted it checked out, so when I was traveling, it didn't come due, and I'd have to pay a quarter a
There
day,
you
so
go.
there you go. They checked it out for me.
I love it.
Anybody else? 13.0 public with business with the council on items not on the agenda.
Mike Dearborn.
Checking the time?
Yeah, I am. Is that okay with you, Mr.
Yeah,
Mayor?
yep.
Sorry, I'm supposed to ask questions. 405 North Division. First off, I want to address something. Just as a reminder, on your boards and commissions, you all are liaisons from the council to those boards and commissions, which means you are really an avenue of information back to the council as to what these organizations are up to. But to my surprise, in the last couple weeks, I found out that Ms. Weimer here is president of Jones County Economic Development. And she's there as a liaison from the council. That should not be happening. That's a direct conflict of interest with this city. Because that organization receives money from the city. She should not be in a ruling position. She's in a reporting position, not ruling. Okay, my next thing is this so-called Iowa Code section 21.4, where you're not required to answer any questions, any of you elected officials. I'm not questioning that code, I'm sure it's for real. But you as a council can adopt a resolution overriding that and saying, yeah, we are going to speak and answer questions from from the citizens. I would like to see that happen, because to me, it's cowardice to sit there and not be able to answer questions from your Joe taxpayer.
The purpose of that code is to protect the public, so that we're not discussing items that they're not aware of.
Can you tell me how that differs from a citizen approaching one of the councilmen who voted in council members on the street and asking questions, just as citizens might come up here and ask questions?
The difference is this is a public meeting and there's a quorum of them here. If you're one-on-one on the street, there's no quorum and they don't hold the same authority as they do as a body. And so.
I'm not sure any citizens ever come up here and ask for a vote on them.
Well, it doesn't have to be a vote. If they discuss any item, again, could potentially be considered a violation of an open meeting. Because, you know, if you're asking questions about a grant program or a city project or whatever it is, somebody else is interested about that topic, they have no way to know that that would be an issue discussed at tonight's meeting. They have a right to know what's gonna be discussed at tonight's meeting.
Then you need to eliminate this agenda item altogether, because that's what it's for, to bring up concerns. It doesn't matter that Joe Blow doesn't know that what I'm gonna ask, that's their problem for not being here. So the people here asking questions, or used to be able to ask questions, are at the mercy of all the other people that aren't here, because they don't get to hear that same question live. I think that's, where did this, I'm not asking any of you, excuse me, but you're not an elected official. Who drew this up? Who came up with this? Because it's been going on for a long time.
I was the one that added it to the agenda, and I think I brought it to the council's attention when I first started.
Was it out of disgust from a certain person coming up here?
No, not at all.
Okay. I would like to see this change, and I will be lobbying certain individual members of council to get this changed, because they can do a resolution to overrule it.
I
I'm
don't
pretty sure of that.
I don't think that we as a local government have the authority to overrule Iowa code. Again, that's just my
I just think
recommendation.
y'all need to just suck it up and start answering questions again. Thank you. Don Bergen, building owner. I was really gonna end this on a positive note tonight. But I'm stuck at 9.0, 9.1 Public Works. And I know you guys can't just discuss this stuff, but you put someone's name out there like that, I gotta wonder, one, is it illegal? Maybe it's not, I don't know. But I would think it's maybe unethical and disrespectful. Because you put it out here on the agenda, but then no one can talk about it, no one can say anything about it. He might not even be able to talk about it if he was here tonight. So,
He's the one that wanted it put on the agenda, Tom. Is the only reason it's on there.
Dan wanted that put
Yep.
on the agenda. Well, he's not here, so I don't know. I know Dan probably as good as I know Rich, John, and Kay, which is pretty much I don't know for the most part. I talk to a lot of people that do know him, and they say he's a good guy, good worker. I honestly can't believe that he would want this put on there and then no one can talk about it. To me, it's more mudslinging than anything. And I just, even if he wanted it on here, I can't believe it'd get on here. You know, if you want to sling mud. Like I said, I was gonna end this on a positive note tonight, but I can't. If you wanna sling mud, I think you ought to start right here in this room. I really do. For a council member to allegedly say to what I would consider a high-ranking city official, I have dirt on you, don't mess with me. And for a council member to allegedly be getting free water from the city and nothing's ever been done about it, you know what? I think everybody needs to start right here in this room and clean house. says, I'm sorry, but you wanna sling mud and throw names and throw dirt, I think that's just disrespectful to this guy, whether he wanted it on there or not, I can't believe that he wanted it on there. I said all that in just over 2 minutes, thank you.
Alright. 14-0, closed session.
Need a motion to go into closed session?
Yep.
Second.
First by Cody, second by Benny. Go into closed session.
Aye.
Favor, Mike?
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
This is
Aye.
your envelope. From the president of Jones County Economic Development.
He must be going home.
She's just cheap, up and booked, ain't she?
Okay.
Yeah, said that's enough. Her dogs are hungry.
She's over talking to Caroline.
Oh, where'd she go?
She don't like hope.